Hello again. I have one more story to end the storytelling part. And it is actually an old story. It deals with the Jewish people. Now, as many of you know, the Jewish people had a very hard time in their lives. It seemed like they were always getting kicked out of a country. Well, it was no different this one time in this one country with this king. And he said to his people, he said, you know what? I would like the Jewish people to leave my land. But I don't want to do it in a mean way, because I don't want to be a mean guy. And someone on his court said, I tell you what, have a dispute in sign language. He said, that's a great idea. I'll ask 3 questions. And if they can answer my questions, they can stay in the country. So the king came out and made the proclamation in the land to all the Jewish people there. He said, I tell you what, we were going to have a debate in sign language. The one of you who can answer my 3 questions in sign language, if you answer them all, you may stay. But if you get one wrong, you must leave. Well, it got pretty wild by the synagogue. The rabbi was there. He gathered all the Jewish people, and he said, look, we need somebody to stand up to the king and dispute the sign language. So he looked at all amongst the crowd like I'm looking at you. And he said, I need someone bold to step forward. And all of a sudden, everybody stepped backwards. Except for Yankel, the chicken seller. He stood there, looking around the sky. He's like, realized he was standing there alone. And the rabbi said, Yankel, you will save us. And he's like, huh? All right, I'll save you. So the next morning, they all gather in the courtyard. And the king says, who will dispute in sign language? And Yankel's like, I guess it's me, Your Highness. Strolls up to him, and he goes, you? The chicken seller? So the king goes, and Yankel goes. He's like, that's right. That's absolutely right. The king looked at him. Yankel. Oh, the king gasped back, and the crowd said, what? What king? He got that right. The king stepped up to Yankel. Pulled out this moldy cheese he had in his pocket. It was crumbling down through his fingers. Yankel looked, pulled out a hard-boiled egg. You answered all 3 correct. The Jewish people may stay, and the crowd erupted for Yankel. And the king went back to the courtyard, and all the royal people came to the king and said, What happened? You got to tell us what happened. What did he say? What did you say? And the king looked and said, well, first I started off, I said, you Jewish religion is scattered among all the countries, not united. Yankel said, we're united. Next, I said, there are 2 gods, one in heaven and me, the king. The uncle said, there's only one God, heaven. I pulled out my cheese, my moldy cheese, and it crumbled through my fingers, showing a sign of the Jewish faith. It's old, it's crumbling, it's no more. And the uncle pulled out a hard-boiled egg, signifying spring. Easter, a new life. Why, of course they can stay. And the crowd just couldn't believe it. Well, guess what was going on back in the synagogue? They couldn't wait. They all ran up to Yankel. Whoa, Yankel, you gotta tell us what happened. And he said, the king went like this, and I thought he was gonna hit me, so I went like this, like I mean business. The king went like this, and I put up my hand because I thought he was going to poke me in the eyes. And then the king pulled out his cheese, his nice cheese. He pulled out his lunch, so I pulled out my lunch.